Okay.
First Fidelity.
All righty, we're going to call to order the regular city council meeting for April 15th, 2025 for the city of Warr Acres. And we have a quorum, and I would like Chief Coy to do the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Chief Anderson?
Yes, if you'd bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, as we come before you tonight, we remember our friend Virgil Bonham, and we ask you to be not only with him and his family as he is anticipating a heart transplant, and we ask that you just minister to him. God, we just stand in awe of the fact that you care for us. Throughout this week, this Passion Week, we are so thankful for your mercy, your grace, and we invite you to be present among us by your power of your Holy Spirit. We ask for your guidance and direction in all of the activities that this council does as it works for the people of our city. We declare that we love you, Father, and we thank you that you have made a way of love, of kindness, and that are known through your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. And the certificate.
Okay.
Okay, good, I brought two
Okay, next
glasses.
we're going to do presentation to Scott Tribby for his service to the city. Okay, well, Scott was on the city council. Isn't that pretty?
No, it's beautiful.
From February 23rd to February 2023 to February of 2025. So it's an appreciation of your service to the citizens of Warr Acres and the residents of Ward 2.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I gotta keep the, nice box too.
Yeah,
Okay, it's got the velvet.
yeah.
You know.
Hey, here's a top too.
Thank you so much.
Okay, and then I want to do a commendation to ACEZ WAO, which is.
No, she's talking about it.
You're gonna have to say the whole words.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah,
It's says WOW, which is an acronym for, if you see, it's on the screen, but it's an acronym for Save the Earth from A to Z when we are one. It's the young adult worker group of the World Mission Society Church of God.
right, they, cleaned up, was it Cherokee Hills Park?
That's correct.
Yeah, Cherokee Hills Park for us, volunteered to do that. And additionally, it's not on here, but they also have a blood drive every year, and I think, what did you get, 91 pints?
That's exactly right.
91 pints of blood this year, so it was very successful. So this is a certificate of commendation. It says, whereas on December 1st, 2024, a SEZWAO, the Young Adult Volunteer Group of the World Mission Society Church of God, organized a cleanup event at Cherokee Hills Park, and there were 53 volunteers. They collected 900 pounds of litter and trash, filled 44 bags, and in today's world, volunteerism is not a common occurrence. So we want to express our appreciation for their commitment to cleaning and making the world a more beautiful place. And thank you for your time and effort in cleaning up Cherokee Hills Park. So, there's it. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Says WOW, young adults. Maybe some.
Yeah, I'm short, so. Can we get everybody within?
Yeah, I don't know what a good way would be.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
was a kid, my parents always taught me that if you can't look good, at least get around people that do. And that's the way I feel tonight with the group of officers and the individuals that we have that work for this city. As it was stated on the bulletin, we wanted to introduce some of the new officer and the new communication specialist to the council. They're already working within the city, so some of you may have already seen them. Hopefully it's been a pleasant interchange. And we also have several promotions. As you're aware of, we had retirements and restaffing issues, and now we're getting to move some people around to start filling those positions that were vacated. And Jason and I, or the Major and I, are very thankful that we have the opportunity to serve with these people and this city. But at first, if I could have Emma Wilkerson. If you've called in, in fact, I was listening to the radio today. She was on the radio. She's our new communication specialist, and she actually has had some experience. She comes from another agency that has had the experience with communications, and she's coming along really well. I haven't had a chance today to talk to her supervisor, but it sounded really good on the radio. And so I just wanted to introduce you to communications specialist Emma Wilkerson. Welcome aboard, Emma.
Hi.
If I could have Jacob Jakowski. Jacob, if you would raise your right hand. Say aye, Jacob Jakowski.
Hi, Jacob Jakowski.
Do you solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
the Charter and ordinances
the Charter and ordinances
of the City of Warr Acres, Oklahoma,
of the City of Warr, Oklahoma,
and that I will not knowingly
that I will not knowingly
receive directly or indirectly
receive directly or indirectly
any monies or other valuable thing
any monies or other valuable things
for the performance and non-performance of any act
for the performance and non-performance of any act
or duty pertaining to my office,
or duty pertaining to my office,
other than the compensation
other than the compensation
allowed by law.
allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully discharge
that I will faithfully discharge
my duties
my duties
as to the best of my abilities.
to the best of my abilities.
Jacob, welcome aboard, sir.
Yay.
Thank you, sir. The other individuals, many of you already know them, but they've promoted to new ranks and or new responsibilities, and so I'd like to take time to recognize them for those new things. If I could have Captain Rockenfield. Captain Rockenfield, for those of you that may or may not know, he has actually served this city now for 16 plus years.
Wow.
Every one of these
Thank
people
you.
will be the plus years.
Yeah.
But for 16 years, he's faithfully served. He's been a lieutenant. He was our lieutenant on our first shift, or day shift. When he promoted to captain, he became the watch commander for our night shift. So at night, if you call 911, it's his shift that'll be responding. And Captain? You want to? Congratulations. If I could have Captain Drain. Captain Drain has served the city now for a little over 12 years. He was the lieutenant on evenings, our second shift, and he's assumed the duties and responsibilities of the captain that is now serving second shift. So if you call in the afternoon or evening, it is his shift that'll be responding to those calls to you and your citizens. But Captain? Congratulations, sir. If I could have Lieutenant Strawn. Lieutenant Strawn has worked faithfully for this city, I can say 8 years plus, as a full-time position. What isn't recorded in that is the 8 years that he served this city free of charge as he worked as a reserve. At the same time, he was full-time in military, completed his service in the military, retiring from that, still wanting to give something to the community and the citizens, came to work full-time here, and is now the lieutenant or over night shift with Captain Rockenfield. So it's captain's lieutenant. But congratulations, sir. Congratulations, Lieutenant. Thank you, sir. That's my moment of vanity there. If I could have Lieutenant Smith here. And a correction, Lieutenant Strong has now been with the city 11 years. Lieutenant Smith has been here 8 years. So you take Lieutenant Strong's 11 years plus his 8 years as a reserve, he's actually served the citizens now 19 years. Lieutenant Smith, congratulations on your job. And if I didn't say, Lieutenant Smith will be working with Captain Drain on the evening shift. So if one is out, the other one would be there. If I could get Master Sergeant Mark Stone. As he comes up here, Jacob has served this city now for 15 years and has done so. He was a reserve with this city prior to him being full-time, obviously. He left here, went to work for another agency for a few years, wanted to come back here, and in doing so has now been with us now for 15 years. So congratulations. Job well done, sir.
That's cool. I like that.
And the last one would be Corporal Bowen, but he had a prior engagement and is not able to be here. But Corporal Bowen has been with us now 5 years. Both he and Master Sergeant Mark Stone both work on the evening shift currently. So if things pop off, they're the ones that will more than likely be responding to you. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to serve not only this council, but the citizens that you represent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is number 3, discussion and possible action on appointing Scott Tribby to the Personnel Board to fill a vacant seat with his term to expire July 2027. And
Yeah, you guys might know him. He was on the council for a couple of years.
For the record, my name is Scott Trivia. I live at 5605 Northwest 59th Street, Warr Acres, Oklahoma, 73122. I was a member of this council from February 2023 until February of 2025. If you would like to apply for life insurance with my agency, I'm willing to take it. I will take the application.
So the personnel board, it could be anybody appointed to it, and he lives in Warr Acres. How long has it been?
My residency in Warr Acres began December 1st, 2017.
So I know there's other people on it. I think it'd be good, and he knows what goes on in the council, and I think he'd be good in knowing what's going on. And in the city, so.
I'm open to any questions by this council.
I know you've had some type of management experience.
I do. I've been general manager of car dealerships. I have experience dealing with human resources. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend that I'm an expert in human resources. I will say that the purpose of the Personnel Board is to come to conclusions and draw upon evidence presented to us in cases of substance that involve members and employees of the city. Our job, the Personnel Board's job, is not to hire or fire. The Personnel's job is to make recommendations to the mayor or authority, including this council, for what actions we deem necessary upon review of evidence. I will also say that it's the Personnel Board's job to check the power of the executive branch of this city. So the mayor, the purpose behind this is that the mayor does not have the ability to enact political vengeance upon city personnel whatsoever. That's all I have to say.
And as the mayor, I cannot nominate or recommend your acceptance. However, I'm allowed to vote.
Do we have a time to nominate other people too, from other places?
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Masali. I'm sure that you think that I'm unfit for office, and I completely understand after the video that was put out on me on Facebook by Mr. Patrick Brown. That said, Donald Trump got elected as president of the United States for a lot worse than that.
We're just
in
voting right
2016.
now on whether or not to nominate Scott.
The agenda, which controls, wasn't to fill a vacancy on the Personnel Board. It was to appoint or not appoint Scott Tribby to the Personnel Board. So the only thing on the agenda tonight is up or down.
But are there other spots open? Are there more than one?
There might, I don't know, I don't have
We
the
had
list
that
with me.
list,
We have
and I don't
another one
know.
coming up, I believe in
We had the list, and I
July,
can't remember
I
where the list.
think. Do you have, I
What
don't
is the
have,
question?
there's another opening coming up pretty soon. I thought it was July.
It's usually July,
I
yes.
thought July of this year, so there would be another opening.
I do have a question. How long is this term for appointment?
To
This one is actually from last year.
So it's to July
So then this
2027.
year and then next year, you'll have one each year.
July
And then they'll be for
2027.
3 years.
Yeah. So,
Mr. Tribby, I am concerned about you because in the past, in our group texts, you were quite unprofessional, let's just say.
Oh, okay,
And can I finish speaking?
absolutely.
And I have a concern that you may not submit to authority in a respectful way. Do you have a comment about that?
I do. Facts are hard and cold when it comes to employment. They have no emotion. Group texts, unfortunately, because they were done by the previous mayor, they did violate the Open Meetings Act, by which both you and I were a part of. So that said, I will say that facts are hard and cold when it comes to employment and circumstances regarding employment. There is no gray area. When you have 3 people on a personnel board and we come to a conclusion, that conclusion is going to go to a 3-0 vote or 2-1 vote. Either way, the majority will win in terms of whatever is given over to the mayor or the authority, which would be this council.
So you would be able to submit to authority even if you disagree with whatever's going
Oh,
on?
absolutely, Debbie. Councilwoman Morris.
In my history of being in this seat, this board has never met
right.
in 4 years, maybe even more. So it's not something that we use a lot. Is this worth your
If it's very sparingly, that's fine. I mean, that's the whole point, is hopefully it does not have to meet a lot.
Has it been like 10 years? It's
If it has to mean a lot, then there are much bigger issues
You never
within the
know
city
when it's gonna
dynamic
come
and
up.
city structure than I have privy to.
Could be coming up soon, could be 10 years again, so you never know.
Yeah, I could be on this board and we'll never have a meeting through 2027. Then it becomes an honorary position and I have,
The current guys
Nothing.
have never heard a case.
What are some examples of duties or cases or whatever would come up?
So the role of the personnel board, and it can be a little unique to this form of government, in the, like if we look next door at Bethany, they've got a council manager form of government, so the person that hires and fires personnel is appointed by the council. It's not a person that's elected. In this form of government, the CEO of the city is an elected official. You can contemplate the potential that somebody could get elected and want to terminate employees for political reasons, and so that's part of the reason the personnel board is there. Their authority is if the mayor essentially does something that affects somebody's money. If they suspend them without pay, if they demote them, if they lay them off, if they terminate them, the employee has the right, but it's not automatic that it goes to the personnel board. It's that the employee is notified that they have a right to a hearing before the personnel board. And if they request it, then the personnel board meets. They hear the evidence, and it is not their job to, what I'll say, second guess the decision-making. What their job, and I'll just read it from the charter, is that if they have their hearing and they determine that the layoff, suspension, demotion, or removal was made for political reasons or reasons other than the good of the service, then they can overturn the mayor's action. And so the good of the service is the language that restrains the mayor on being able to take disciplinary action. The good of the service is a very loose standard. It maintains the at-will employment relationship. The way I read the language, if it was political reasons or something other than doing what was best for the city, but not necessarily I would have made a different decision. Maybe I would have fired, maybe I would. Was there a inappropriate motivation behind it? It's the role behind the personnel board.
So basically, it has to be someone who's a neutral, who does not have a connection or a relationship with the mayor, will not be basically,
Or the employee?
or the employees.
The attorney
course.
is also not one of our attorneys, it's always an outside.
Yeah, like I don't advise the personnel board. If anything, I would potentially be presenting to the personnel board on behalf of the city, but there's an outside attorney that advises the personnel board and gives them independent advice. Connection, I mean, that's ultimately, it's a council call on who to appoint and who to nominate. Connection, just my personal opinion, objectivity is a better way to put it. We have people who are, and I'll use Oklahoma County as an example. We've got judges that get elected to Oklahoma County who have connections to attorneys that appear before them. They don't have to recuse in the case because they can set that aside. Now, they have to recuse if the person donated too much money to them, but they don't even have to recuse if they, I forget what the dollar threshold is, but I think it might be like $200 or $500. I could go donate that money to one of the judges, and then still, if we had a case down there, I could still present and be an advocate in their courtroom. So really, I wouldn't say connection. I would encourage you to look at it as objectivity. Can they look at each case to make that determination as to whether or not the reasons behind whatever action was taken were political or something other than the good of the service?
Why would you want to look at anything from the viewpoint of subjectivity? Wouldn't objectivity create a more fair discussion within the board in regards to someone's employment? Subjectivity puts it down to the personal level. That's not the right way to view it from a board position.
Is that what that said?
Well, I'll make a motion to appoint Scott Tribby to the Personnel Board.
And again, I want to emphasize to everyone on this board, I ran against the current mayor for mayor. I did not win, nor did our third opponent win. She won on her own merits. That's all I have to say. From that sense, she was my political opponent, not ally.
True.
I'll second that.
Schmidt,
Yay.
Myers.
Yes.
Fairchild,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Morris,
Nay.
Amosawin,
Nay.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion approved.
Thank you, and
I hope you don't even meet.
It's,
Yeah, exactly.
I pray that we do not. And Patrick Brown.
alrighty then. Next item is the consent docket. Anyone have any items that they would like to discuss before voting to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent docket.
Second.
Myers,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Fairchild,
Yes.
Amosawin,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yay.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion approved.
Okay. The next, we're gonna receive the reports from the staff. Let's go with Chief Anderson first.
Yes, other than as the report submitted, I would be more than happy to answer any questions. One thing that was not on there that I wanted to update the council on was the issue of our vehicles. We currently have 4 of the vehicles that are in upfitting, and as soon as those are available, they will be rolled out. We're in the process of putting the auction together to auction off the retired vehicles, and even as of June, we're looking at having the other 6 vehicles to go to the upfitters, and they are in the process of making sure that they get the parts in, and we're attempting to do that before any tariffs really kick in. So I did wanted to add that to the information. Are there any?
I just want to make a comment. So I heard a rumor that the last court was jam-packed and people were parked all over the place. Is that,
I was serving as the bailiff that night, and yeah, it filled the parking lot, and we, a couple of businesses, to include one of the churches, around us. And so the judges that you guys have hired or appointed or contracted with, they were busy.
but thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome, sir.
Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay,
I'll answer any other questions if anyone has a question.
I'm just happy that something is being done about the illegal parking. That's all.
I know the officers are working on that as they have time available to do so, so.
Okay, anybody else? Chief Coy?
I have nothing to add to the report, but happy to answer questions.
Oh, I had a question.
All right.
So next to the, behind the fire station, there's a sign that says, I was going to say it for my comments, but Saturday, there's an Easter egg hunt. Is that on the grounds right there at the park? Is that you guys associated with it at all, or? Because it's on the fence by the fire station, so I didn't know if you had any information about it.
It's not our Easter egg hunt. We're not conducting it.
Okay, I just didn't know because it was on like your fence, so I thought maybe it was something you were.
No, it must be a neighborhood thing or a church event.
It said community egg hunt, so I thought it was
There's one
You
at
guys.
Baker Kiwanis and there's one at Cherokee Hills
right.
on
same day.
Saturday, unless we have a tornado or something, which is always possible.
It is always.
City Clerk?
Just wanted to explain, you have an updated sales tax report in front of you. We did not have a cigarette tax until yesterday, so I couldn't put that on. And then the proposed, when I sent out the email, I had said I would get it to you. Well, Cheryl was out, and she's the one that does that for me, so I got it for you tonight, sorry.
Well, I've been trying. I buy all my cigarettes in Warr Acres, so.
Anything else? Okay. City Attorney?
Do my part.
Nothing to add.
Okay. Public Works Director?
You got the city
He said
attorney
nothing to add.
Nothing? Well, it's hard to imagine any town or city without a public works. 4 acres is no exception. It provides the utilities such as water, streets, sewer, sanitation. Oki locates We're trying to watch out to make sure the road contractors don't dig into a gas line, so they follow the protocols. So it takes employees to do all that work. So Pam's a bunch, does utility billing, answers the phone calls and all that stuff, and our guys do all the things on the list that you see in your report. 2 weeks ago, I attended a Oklahoma Flood Managers Spring Technical Workshop, and one of the things that they talked about that our current Donald Trump is looking at revamping FEMA, which could impact us during a disaster event such as an ice storm like we had in 2020, where we had the 100,000 cubic yards of debris, which cost over $1 million to get removed from our city. They're trying to move the onus to the state and local governments for natural disasters and cyber attacks as part of his wider push to overhaul the federal emergency management system. Now, there was a representative from the state's emergency management. She mentioned that there could be funding available up to $15 million to borrow to pay the contractors up front. Such as our 2020 ice storm, we had to pay all the contractors $1 million up front, and it took, how many months, Pam? It took a long time to get our money back. So that was one of the highlights from that workshop.
Great. Okay, city engineer?
Oh,
she's
can
not
I ask
here?
a question?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, I didn't know you were done. What's the time frame of the poly carts?
I beg your pardon?
The poly carts you talked about in your report, your sanitation, are we considering it still, or is that?
Yes.
I think with the new mayor, she's mentioned that she would like to pursue it. We have a contact with a vendor that can supply the trucks and a company that can supply the carts. We're looking at how you would want to break up the city, if you want to do 4 days a week, once a week, and so forth. So we're trying to gather up some information and provide maybe at the next month possibly kind of a kickoff meeting to see if it's entertained by the council to move that direction or not.
Don't we have to buy a truck before we can buy the carts?
One time
You can buy the truck anytime. I mean, the truck is, the truck is available. They have trucks in stock, which is surprising.
It was
But the
budgeted.
carts would take approximately six weeks because they would have the Warr Acres logo branded in them. It'd be roughly 5,000 carts, so it takes a little time to print all those up and get them delivered and so forth. So maybe a couple months it could possibly move forward if that's the direction that everybody wants to move.
Are the trucks budgeted but not appropriated? Is that how it is,
The
Pam?
CIP has the budget for it.
Okay,
They're appropriated, the money's there, it's appropriated, right?
okay.
One time you mentioned modifying a truck or two to put the arm on.
Right,
Is that still a thing?
Yeah, ideally we'd have 2 trucks with sidearm grabbers. They're expensive in the $400,000 realm. You could either buy them outright or you could do what they call the lease purchase. Make an annual payment and so forth. But I was planning on keeping 2 of the rear loaders and equipping them with tippers. I don't know if you've seen them in Bethany. It's kind of a little hydraulic system on the back of the rear loader, so it would act as a backup. Also, we'd use that to get into hard or tight spaces, like we have a couple of dead-end streets, and maybe there's a couple of areas that's hard to get into where we could use those trucks. Like, for example, our new 60 homes is tight, so it's actually a private drive, and they have like 3 homes on each side of the private drive, so 6 homes, so it's just really a central street. So that would probably be, a couple locations, one size doesn't fit all. So eventually, hopefully, we could get 2 trucks, but I think we could try it out to see, obviously you get better over time as you do something. So if that truck could accommodate it, obviously all equipment breaks down.
Yeah, and I'm not imagining the citizens are gonna convert quickly over.
No, there's always,
Oh, very quickly.
I hope so, but, it's been my hope.
There are a few
Some of 'em-
people that are disabled.
Yeah.
But we do have a list
Okay.
that they will go up to the house still for those disabled people.
And
Yeah.
people can get on the list if they are disabled.
Mike has a
so we'll look at
list.
other city ordinances that's address the handicap situation. There's paperwork and all sorts of contractual and ordinance things that we'd have to put in place.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, shouldn't be a problem, hopefully.
I have a question. street signs, if we need a street sign for a child with disability, can we put something like that up?
I think usually it goes to the Traffic Commission. I think Mike Anderson, it was Chief Patty, now Anderson, what is it, child playing sign, or deaf child playing, or,
Yeah, the process would be that if it's something that you know of or you're requesting, you just notify me, we'll put together the traffic committee, and what they do is make a recommendation to the council as to whether or not they could proceed.
Wasn't
with it.
that house by you, we talked about that before? Oh, no, it's a different one.
Basically, we've been waiting on it forever because we were told that it will be there and it did not
Right, well, we
happen.
can work on that now.
so,
Yeah.
so they would, if they approved the sign, it would just take a couple of weeks to get the sign, and we'd put it up in the locations
I
discussed.
was told it was given to, I was told it was given to the public authorities long ago, and we have not seen anything. So, anyway,
Yeah.
next question. If there is holes in the streets, you guys fix it or someone else? Is it?
We try to keep on top of the patching. We have some asphalt patch that for smaller holes, and then we have larger, if you have larger, potholes that's debonded, we try to use the,
If I see one, I can send it to you.
sure, send it to me. We try to get to all of them we can, so there's been quite a few after this cold spell, so.
Yes, there is some.
He has a list that's prioritized based on how long the holes have been there and how big they are, and,
Yeah, there's some areas like concrete, once they crack and unravel, that really requires a panel replacement. Now, we had in the past, like in, probably even prior to 2000, they did an overlay because most of our streets were concrete. And so the overlay is just a thin layer, like 1.5 inches, and over time it debonds. Like if you have water leaks that run for a long time, what it does, it gets along the edge of between the asphalt and the concrete, and it'll debond it, or if it runs across like a water leak, it'll run across. And then those are more difficult. It requires a milling machine to come in and just remove the surface, but then it leaves pits in the surface of the concrete, which then you need to overlay, and it costs a lot of money.
If a company, Cox or gas company, they come and they dig in someone's front yard or backyard and they disturb the grass and everything, is there anyone here in the city that can monitor them? Because
Yeah, that's a great question. Ultimately, the utility doing the repair would be responsible, but we have struggled. Before you were here, I was showing pictures of a utility abuse throughout town. They'll come in and dig up, like we had a sidewalk, if you notice, down by Walgreens at 63rd. There was a panel that was dug up, and it was just sticking up cattywomp. And
I have 3 holes on the side of my house. There is a whole area that there is nothing in it, no grass anymore.
right.
And I've seen it happen in 3 other houses on 50th. So who should we go to? Do they get the permit to dig from the city, or who?
Well, basically,
Easement, they just do what they need to do.
It's a,
Ask anybody.
yep, they don't got it. It's the easement. If it's in an easement, they got use of it. That's just how that
Yeah.
works.
now you have what you call a right-of-way, which would obviously be like the streets in front of your house is a right-of-way. Now, an easement, you still own the property, which you ease onto it, do your repair, then ease off of it. My own personal house, I have a cable that was blown in half by the OG&E for a Cox cable that I was unable to get removed even after calling Corporation Commission. I had to roll it up, and I've got a cable tied to my fence. In lieu of just climbing up the pole myself and grinding it off. It's everywhere. They'll dig along, like we had right out here in front of City Hall under Mickley, there was a leak. It was out there for 8 months. He would call their mayor, and Oklahoma City's kind of the elephant in the room, and they get around to it when they want to. We have, in the sewer survey, they found some cables up in front of the Shipley Donut that ran through our sewer manhole. They were orange, so those, and I'll give kudos to ONG because they immediately came out to eliminate the possibility of a gas line that could be ruptured and migrate into the sewer system and cause an explosion. But They probably spent $40,000 potholing and doing due diligence, so, I mean, they're on top of it. So, we reached back out to the Cox and AT&T, and we had no response. So we submitted our own second locate, and there were some flags out there, but we had absolutely no response from any utility about the cables, and they're still in our sewer main. There's 3 of them.
Oh.
So it's very difficult to get them, you know, the responsible ones will come in and regrass and clean up their mess. But a lot of them subcontract. We had one
That's
over.
a problem. There is no name on the cars that is basically.
Right, but I mean, you can always call. We can get you on the Okie 811. They're required by law. We get an Okie locate for every dig. They're supposed to do every one. So there is a name and a contact number if we can find the location. Now, whether you can get results is a whole nother thing, so.
If it was water, it's Oklahoma City
Yeah,
does
you
the
could-
water mains.
No, it's not water. There is some other things. I don't know what it was. And I tried to ask them. They couldn't
Yeah.
speak English, so.
Just reach out to him and remind me. We'll get the address and we can pull up the,
At that time, I did call the city, and I don't remember who showed up. I can't remember. It's been like 2 years. But I just saw the same thing happening to
right.
2 other houses on 50th, and I know what they're gonna go
Right.
through.
Well,
so-
sometimes they do respond. I mean, we're not gonna throw them all under the bus, but, when they hire a subcontractor, we had one in Twin Lakes on the 67th Court. I went straight to the Okie locate and sent an email straight to the responsible second-party contractor. And there was no cleanup. It was pretty rough. They came in and dug up, it was a power line or a Cox cable line right in their front yard, and it would have been very difficult to mow, and you would have to get out and hand dress it yourself to get it back into, and they just, there was no response.
There is a huge hole next to the end of the fence where kids, they walk on it, and
Right.
now I have to go and get dirt to fill it up.
Well,
And I
give-
have no idea who did dig that hole.
Get with me and we'll take a look at it and figure out something.
There's a whole bunch of dirt by the Animal Control Center. You can
Yeah,
help
we
yourself.
have a
with
lot
all
of
that
dirt, so,
We're trying to get rid of that hill.
Yeah.
yes.
Is it a good dirt or just dirt?
It's dirt from the road, when the
It
MacArthur
came from the
project.
sidewalks, so it's
Yeah.
pretty much topsoil. When they did the sidewalks along 50th, we tried to keep the dirt. Yeah, they kept the dirt. That all came from the sidewalks they did, what was it?
I'm gonna need like 3 tons of dirt. I'm trying.
Oh, we got more than-
to raise
There's
the
a-
whole thing
there's a
around my
lot.
house.
Yeah,
Why don't you advertise it for people? They will come and get it.
we thought about that.
I used to go get all the compost to.
Okay,
Yeah,
can we move
so-
along?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Be here till 10.
Okay, city,
Nothing to add to the city engineer report, nothing to add to the
city planner, okay.
Wow.
Grant writer?
I'll simply be brief and say thank you for the opportunity to have worked with the city. The mayor and I have been communicating with some loose ends that need to be wrapped up in terms of things that I'm still on, various things with the State Attorney General's office for the opioid grant, with Oklahoma City Communities, our Communities Foundations of Oklahoma. I'm still one of the signatories there, and we'll get that wrapped up. The mayor has a list of things that I think are worthy of considering, including the fact that the second round of opioid grant will probably be released sometime in May. The state cybersecurity grant is due, the next due date is May 15th. Safe Streets for All was released and is due June 26th, and several other things. And certainly between now and the end of this month, and if it was anything to do with any grant that will help the city get prior to that, if there's anything we can do to help make sure that loose ends are tied up, happy to do that. Beyond that, thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'll take any questions anybody might have.
Do you have did you get a list of do you have a list of animal control ones that you said you thought we qualified for? Can you send me that list?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, we found some of them, but, yeah.
Sure. I have a Word document list, and
Okay.
I apologize, I thought I sent that already.
No, I didn't.
I'll
I
send it
didn't get
before we
it.
get, okay.
Yeah.
You'll have
Okay.
it before I leave.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is discuss and possible action to authorize the police chief to purchase firearms at a cost of $24,246 from the CIP budget. Chief Anderson?
Yes, as you're aware, anything mechanical will eventually wear down. Our life for our handguns and firearms are roughly, according to the government, 8 years, but according to our firearms instructors and stuff, they say we can do it about 10 years. These are well over 10 years old, and they were time to be replaced. And we started last year putting it. We did get it on the budget. We had pricing together, and it was right at $30,000. We were able to roll it over this year and still have the $30,000 on the budget. I went back to our firearms guys. They were able to nicely say do some arm twisting, and we're able to get it down to $24,246. One of the reasons it is on the agenda today versus another month is the fact that as I was gone last month, the major filled in. You guys approved the purchase of some computers. We literally got the call in, was it 24 hours before they said they were going up? 8 hours before they were going up in price of 25% each. So just being able to do it that quickly was able to save the city around $8,000 just on the computers from last month. Like I said, right now we're sitting at $6,000 under the budget with what we were requesting, and we're trying to get it in before any of the tariffs come through that would affect that cost. Is there any questions I could ask?
Yeah. Are you replacing firearms? Is that what you're doing, or are these just
Yes.
new ones?
Yeah, we replaced firearms.
And what do you do with the old ones?
In this case, that was part of what our firearms guys do. We use Glock firearms, and Glock is purchasing the old ones back.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Good.
And
Why are we using CIP funds instead of the public safety dedicated funds? to
that would be
purchase?
more of a
Question.
Pam question.
Pam, question. Why are we using CIP
Why a
funds?
CIP fund versus a public safety fund?
We can't use public safety funds for anything else.
Because that's where it was budgeted before, and I just left it that we did change that because we put other things in the public safety tax. We did add things to public safety
Yeah,
tax.
some big ones.
But the Glocks were already in the CIP, so we just left them there.
Okay. I mean, if that's the best place for them, I don't have an objection to the purchase. I was just wondering why
Yeah.
that particular fund.
No, it was just that that's where they were budgeted before, and then when we started adding things to public safety, it may have been you that said we need to be careful not to tap it out.
As I said, just because it's budgeted doesn't mean we can afford to buy it.
Exactly.
So would you get when they're purchasing back the firearms, is that part of the cost savings that we're getting? Or that was that?
Okay,
Okay.
so that's incorporated in this 24?
It is incorporated into it. There's roughly I think they said around $7,000 that Glock is going to give us as a credit toward that, lowering the price down to the
Okay.
$24,246.
So I guess my question is, how much money is in the public safety budget? Like, is there? or-
You're asking me a question I can know,
You don't know?
cannot answer without having
Yeah.
the information in front of me.
So far.
Chief, what is the guns that
Been buying
they
the
get?
cars. We have
Is it
What
not-
is the guns?
Software.
Are they blocks or what?
They're Glocks.
computers.
Did you see the story
Here,
about
is it in
the
this?
the
your
school
budget?
police officer that had his gun discharged,
you can flip
and
that
then
out.
it turned out it's a bigger
Public
problem.
safety on that, I don't know.
It's
6
not the
hours.
first incident, it's
Okay,
happened
gotcha.
several times, the gun in the holster, it just discharged. I can't remember what was the brand
It
or
was
what
a
was
6
the.
hour.
Big sour.
Tower.
Thank you.
E320, I think.
So it's not what we are buying, good,
Oh.
that's,
Yeah. What is it?
I'm not a gun person, so I couldn't really remember all the details, but it was interesting to see it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the police chief to purchase firearms at a cost of $24,246 from the CIP budget.
Second.
Okay, good.
There's a third in there too.
It was second. Okay, that's what I thought, but I want to make sure. Schmidt,
Yay.
Fairchild,
Yay.
Morris,
Yay.
Myers,
Yes.
Omosui,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item is discussion and possible action to authorize repairs to the sanitation rear loading refuge truck unit 1020 for an oil leak at United Engines not to exceed $12,000. Terman.
Well, anybody that knows anything about public works and refuse trucks, they live a hard life, so typical lifespan of a truck's maybe 5 to 7 years. This truck is actually a 20 model, purchased 1020, so that'd be September. So it's right during the COVID period. So this particular engine is in your report, is a Detroit diesel. Now, in the past, I've had really good luck with the Cummins engine. So this truck showed up. It was supposed to be a Cummins, and the salesman, of course, said, "Oh, you'll love this engine." So this truck only has like 45,000 miles, but they're hard miles, but they should last longer than that. We just finished with the mobile mechanic repairing the air compressor system, which was $4,000 to $5,000. We were able to do that in-house. This might require the removal of the drive shaft, the actual transmission, and then to get to the rear of the engine. We're not exactly sure where the oil leak is, so this might be beyond the capabilities of our mobile mechanic and at our shop, and we'd have to have a specialized lift to lift down the transmission and so forth. So unfortunately, things happen. The trucks are complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. We've been utilizing the mobile mechanic with the recent retirement and passing of our former mechanic, so we've been fairly successful and saved a lot of money. So the mobile mechanic is roughly the half price of these dealerships. They're in the $225 an hour range. The mobile mechanic's in the $120 an hour range. So United Engines is the Detroit diesel supposed certified repair person. So we're thinking that might be the best place to take it to try to get this truck back into service.
What's their backlog, you know? How,
It's hard to tell with them. They'll tell you they'll bring it in, we'll get it to it at the end of the week, and 3 weeks later, it's still sitting in the parking lot. So we have 4 total rear loaders now. We have another truck we just got fixed. It doesn't seem like they all 4 run at the same time very long. So we have 2 down right now. We have 2 operational, and so it could be it would probably be about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks on this before they get it in. And
Yeah, I just know you guys try to fix them, so if you come to us saying you need something done, it's like, we can't fix it, so pretty much, right? Because you guys work on the trucks yourself. If you can fix them, you fix them.
Oh,
so-
yeah, yeah, particularly with our former mechanic, we do a lot of the work ourselves if we can fix it. I call it simple, but it's simple till you're the one doing it. Some of it's more complicated. Obviously, we had the mobile mechanic, we just took the front part of the engine off of another truck and replaced the radiator and the front seal. It's pretty involved. So the trucks just keep getting more complicated. One of the other newer trucks has 3 computers in the Packer. It has a transmission computer, a emissions computer, and a engine computer.
I apologize for interrupting. We have a structure fire. Can you handle item 9? Okay.
Be safe.
Structure. Okay.
I said be safe.
Oh, I thought you said already said.
No, I said be safe.
I'll make a motion to approve expenditure for the repairs up to $12,000.
I second it. Thanks for doing your due diligence.
Evans,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Omosui,
Yay.
Fairchild,
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yay.
Mayor.
Yes.
Motion approved.
You want me to read it? You want to?
Sure.
Okay. Item 9 is discussion and possible action on a request from Ben Chad for an extension of full paid benefits for an additional 6 months as provided by state statute, temporary sickness or disability.
So I can go into very, very painful detail about this if you want me to, but the short version is by statute, the cops and the firefighters participate in state pension plans that have statutes that provide that if they are injured in the line and unable to work, they get their full pay and benefits for a period of 6 months with an option to extend for another 6 months, not to exceed a total of 12. Ben has, and I don't know the nature of his injury, I can only speak generally to 49-111, but he's obviously got an injury that he hasn't been able to come back from yet, but we would anticipate him being able to come back with the additional 6 months. I can explain all the mechanics of it, but essentially if you don't approve this, then the state will disability retire him and will have to hold his position open for 2 years and take him back as soon as he recovers. So this has been done as a matter of course at the city over the years, and so my recommendation would be for you to approve it. I can, like I said, I can explain in a lot more detail how these statutes work, but it is very painful detail.
I assume that Chief Coy feels confident that he'll be able to come back if he gets another 6 months, or else he wouldn't be asking to extend it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, the only time that I ever recommend people waiver on 6 month extension is if it is something that the person's not coming back from.
Right.
Because the statute does require if they'll get disability retired, but if they can come back within 2 years, you have to hold their position.
Is it the same with this, that for the next 6 months, we hold his position, and we're operating shorthanded?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be shorthanded no matter what, because here's the thing, if you don't do it, they're not gonna fill the spot because they're gonna they have to hold the money in the budget for him, so one way or another, but
Makes sense.
I mean, the short version is they have this statute because they have a long vesting cycle of 20 years, and if they only get credited service if they're getting paid. So if, Ben had only been on TTD, he would have extended out his 20-year vest by another 6 months, and that's just for this injury. I'm sure he's had others throughout his career, so that's why they have these wage continuation statutes, is to ensure they can hit that 20-year at 20 years.
Any other questions? I'll make a motion to extend the full paid benefits for an additional 6 months for Ben Chad.
I'll second it.
Myers,
Yes.
Omosui,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Evans,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yay.
Fairchild,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes,
motion approved.
we have questions and comments from the council. Anybody want to start?
I'll
start.
start. I don't care. Or you want to
You
go?
would start? I could start.
Go ahead.
I could start. One is, wow, parks cleanup. That was pretty cool. Saw the pictures and stuff. And I was thinking about that because one of the things is, here we are, beginning of the spring season, Memorial Weekend's coming up. And it was one of the things I had on here was, yeah, park maintenance, check the lights, make sure it's clean, everything else. Because people, Memorial Weekend's coming up. That's a big time people want to go out and use the parks, stuff like that. So, yeah, and I know some of the citizens in Ward 1, there's a park over there right off of Cherokee. I don't think it's the...
Wood Park.
Yeah.
Woods Park.
And they were complaining that some of the lights weren't working great. One of them's flickering. Some guy was telling me that. But, yeah, the maintenance of the parks might be something to look into as we get into spring. The other thing is, I want to make sure that I mentioned last time the use tax in the...
Put it in the newsletter.
We put it in the letter. It needs to be, permanent spot. Keep it in there, because everybody needs to know that every month. We need to just keep it in there, because as we have new people move in, they'll need to know that. One thing is, I did, I don't know if this is the time to tell you that, but I did send Matt email about Airbnbs. I'm actually like Airbnbs. I like using them myself when I go out of town. I think they could be a boon for us, but I'd like to see something to think about some kind of regulation, some kind of ordinance, or some kind of tweaking we can make to make them not operate in the shadows, make them subject to the hotel tax and stuff like that. That's just something I want to put out there right now, but something to think about. That's something that I have. The other thing is, I noticed there was a News 5 article on $400,000 that we're paying for fines and criminal charges
For the plant.
for the plant,
The
all that
plant.
plant stuff that we did. So, wow, that's Wow, so, and we owe, and I guess between Bethany and Warr Acres, we still owe $70,000 in fines? Is that what it said in the news report?
Amount, but this was
He'd have
before,
the answer.
But he's got all that stuff?
this was before,
Actually, yeah, so, the Bethany Warr Acres Public Works Authority trust meeting, the mayor sits on that.
now.
At their last meeting a couple weeks ago, there is going to be an opportunity where they're going to come and do a presentation on the wastewater treatment plant improvements. It will kind of go through the preliminary engineering report. It will give you a background. I recommended to the city of Bethany and Warr Acres at the time that we'll do it in a workshop type format. And that way you can hear from both the engineering there, and then we can like talk about some of your other questions that you might have. So, and I think the mayor and I, we were talking about maybe, was it May? I think maybe have them come in May.
Okay.
Maybe do a special meeting as a
It was-
workshop. And then, yes, there were criminal charges related to the operation. The news article actually made it sound like it was happening now. This was really
Years.
several years ago.
Yeah.
But they are finally, the U.S. attorney is now finally actually, was indicting them for those
Okay.
charges, so, yeah.
And
All right.
they no longer work at the plant.
But
For a while.
it would be worthy of a
For
workshop.
years.
That way it doesn't
Yeah.
take up a full council
Gotcha.
meeting. Because there are so many faces on here that have not been involved, and it really is something that you probably need to be made aware of. So
Okay, thanks.
we're gonna try to do a special meeting maybe in May, I think, so.
And the last thing I had was probably for Public Works, talking about Ward 1 over here. 72nd Avenue, I don't know if you noticed the speed bump as you turn into 72nd Avenue. It's been there for a while.
At Midas?
72nd place.
72nd Place, I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, 72nd Place. There's also 68th and 67th Street on the east side. There's a little bit of a speed bump as you can transition off of MacArthur onto those residential streets. It's a little bit of a bump, because where the pavement's starting to eat away from, when it freezes and stuff, ice and water tear it up. So that's all I have.
CIP repairs, so don't
Yep.
spend your CIP on everything else.
My turn?
You can go.
Thank you to Mike and his crew for Ward 1, Big Trash. I know the spring is, there's been some crazy piles, nails going everywhere. So thank you very much. Thank you to the police. I've had many comments from citizens that they have seen you all out in force doing things, and they're very happy. So very positive comments from them. Thank you to Amanda and Mark for the tour of the Pines Dam and the spillway. That was very enlightening for me, and being able to, I'm a visual person, so that helped. Thank you. And then to all our recyclers, we're sorry we had to cancel the first Saturday of this month due to rain. Weather permitting, we'll be there May 3rd. Weather permitting.
May 3rd, a good day.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
We can just
Mike?
go this way. Yeah, we tried to do recycling. We were out there, but it was just raining and it got windy and it was really cold, so we just packed it up and called it a day. So what Councilman, I always call him Kit, but,
Kit.
so what Kit was talking about, we used to have, with the previous mayors, we would have a day where we would go to every park and clean it up, and the council members would be included. That's how you meet everybody in the city. And I think the last time it was just the mayor and me and Judy, right? And, but there were a lot of other people out there, and we got about as much trash as that picture showed. We went to every park, spent about an hour at every park, so.
I think that was Oklahoma Beautiful, in conjunction with Oklahoma Beautiful, maybe.
But it might be something you guys want to think about if you want to do something, probably either next, I don't want to do it in July or August, but either next month or the month after, so. I was wanting to say, last month I gave my time to the library person, I can't remember her name, but
Keisha,
So she usually comes every meeting because she.
supposed to be
right.
here.
So I would like to see, when we give staff reports, maybe in the future, if we start including her, to talk about what's going on at the library. And so this goes back to Mr. Evans' comment that we have a community center, it's the library. And I thought, like, that stuck with me when he said that. So I think that maybe if we push that, or in the newsletter, we start saying, this is what's going on in the library. Like, I know people don't know about the food thing because I only think about it when I'm driving to Walmart on a Saturday, the last Saturday of the month, and it's 12 o'clock, and I see the line, I'm like, oh, they're giving away food. But people don't know that, and I know there's people that probably need it. But if we kind of push that center, I think that would fulfill the need that we think we need to have a community center. So thank you, Ms. Yes.
I didn't know they had the food drive either.
Yeah, they do other stuff. They do readings with the kids. They give them books. They do other things.
Just to be
there.
clear, it's another agency that does the food. They're using the
Right.
library as a location. The library does not sponsor it. But the library does have many
Right.
events and activities.
Yep. So the only other activities, we kind of brought it up earlier. Saturday, there's two Easter egg hunts. One is Saturday at 10:30 in the morning at Putnam City United Methodist Church at 42nd and MacArthur. The other one is at 2 o'clock at the Baker Kiwanis Park, which is at 50th and Hammond by the police station, or the fire station.
And at Cherokee Hills Park at 2 o'clock.
There's another one at 2. And it's supposed to rain all day,
Yeah.
so.
Who's doing those?
I don't know, the one by the,
Cherokee Hills Baptist Church, I think.
And the Christian church had a sign out too, the Cherokee Hills Christian Church on 63rd and
The Mormon
Arthur.
Church, the LDS had a sign out too at 10:30 on Saturday.
The Mormon church here?
Yeah.
yeah, I just know that, the one by the fire station, it just said community egg hunt, so I just assumed it was something.
Yeah, well, the LDS church is in Oklahoma City technically, but
Oh.
just across the street. Yeah,
No, that's all I had, thank you.
thank you. John?
I didn't really have anything, but I was very pleased to hear that we are moving forward with the rolling trash
Polycarts.
bins.
Yes.
I think that's a great thing for longevity. Like I said, when we approved staying with the system we had, all the rules have changed since then, so I think that moving over is a great thing. And I remember when we were talking about a truck, they were a year out. You had to order them a year ahead of time. It's great to hear that they're in stock, so that's not even our lead time issue, so.
Yeah.
I was just glad to hear that. Thank you.
Debbie?
Oh. Of course, I'm always grateful for Public Works. It seems like it's the real meat of the city activity, but then I'm thankful for all of our police and fire. I'm looking forward to the polycarts too. I've really been wanting that for a long time because seeing trash blowing around on the Oklahoma windy days.
Speak of the devil.
Anyway, I don't guess I have anything else, but I do want to say hi, Keisha. We mentioned you earlier.
Oh.
You want to say something? I'm done.
Aida?
Thank you. Already we have, I have in Ward 1, the Big Trash Day, did a great job there. I'm waiting on Ward 3, which
Yes.
starts tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm waiting on that.
Get my
This is
neighborhood
one.
cleaned up.
The other thing is, you have one of your police officers twice stopped speeding car. The smile did not fall from his face. He was standing, talking to the person with a huge smile on his face, twice, the same police officer. It was during a time that I was going through those videos of police brutalities. And I was looking at him and I was like, I should film this and put it online and say, this is Waracres Police. I swear, everything in his body was staying calm, friendly, beautiful interaction. Thank you.
Yeah. We have a great.
It was really wonderful.
The person getting the citation probably didn't feel that way.
I think he gave a ticket to the second car. The first one, I think they got just a warning. But still, I would take a ticket from someone who's smiling like that, and I would be happy with it. Usually when I get a ticket, the police officer wouldn't be that much pleasant.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to, well, first of all, thank the police. They've been making the city safer by catching speeders and people running through the red lights and stop signs. Thank Mike Turman for his help with the building inspections. I also wanted to talk about, there was an article in the Bethany Tribune that was dated April 11th, entitled "Church Apologizes After Painting Over the Warr Acres Mural."
Yeah, I saw that. They apologized?
They apologized, I guess, to the painter, Bob Palmer. But I wanted to know that I was never consulted on this on behalf of the citizens. There were so many citizens that were so disappointed to see the artistic, shocked, and historical representation of Warr Acres in American history painted over, including another former mayor, Marietta Tartabono. And we were both extremely sad that this happened. As a historian and a genealogist, it makes me doubly sad. I only became aware of this after the fact, and so I wanted to personally apologize to the artist, Bob Palmer, even though I didn't know about it. But because of this, I will be addressing permitting as a clarification to our ordinance regarding murals in the future city council meeting, and make sure that our ordinance complies with any state or federal law.
Thank you, Vicki. That was my employer's ancestors on there. I was
it?
sad too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Marietta was really, really torn up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so shocked.
So,
Mayor, can we adjourn? Can I say something real quick?
okay.
Just, I want to give us kind of a thank you out real quick. This happened today out of the blue. I think you probably know what I'm talking about. I had reached out over the weekend to one of our firefighters who also owns a landscape company. And for those of you that have seen our police station, it sat there for 4 years and never got landscaped. Last year, you guys approved the sprinkler system. So I'm like, well, now's the time to figure out how we're going to landscape this and make it look better. And he said, hey, let me stop by. Well, we show up this morning at about 8 o'clock coming back from a quick breakfast, and he's got 8 or 9 guys out there, 3 trucks of stuff, and totally donated everything to landscape the entire police department.
Wow.
And you guys need to go by and look at it. It's absolutely amazing what he did. And he put stuff in the flower beds that will take care of themselves year after year, and really did it right. We had multiple dead trees along MacArthur. They pulled all those out, so the grass will grow in and make that look a lot better. One of the trees in the crepe myrtles survived, and he left all those. But what he did, I just wanted to let you guys know to come by and see it and thank him publicly, because it was huge.
What's the name of this company?
It's Jason's Outdoor Management.
Jason's Outdoor Management.
Yeah. And
Wish we could get a little sign that would say,
Oh.
It's, like I said, it's truly amazing, and he did it all on his own within 48 hours of me just asking him to go by and say, hey, what would you recommend? And he just took it upon himself to do it and do it right, so.
That's
thank
great.
you for
Thank
sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna go check it out.
Jason,
Thinking you guys need to come by and take
who's
a
the
look at it, too.
firefighter?
Jason Harpence. So.
That's very nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Did you want to let the library girl talk?
Oh, if she wants,
just-
because you want to talk?
So, before you got here, I was just saying I wanted to start including you every month to start talking about what's going on at the library to kind of let the public be aware. Okay.
So please excuse my tardiness. Thank you for allowing me to speak. We had a deadline for midpoint reviews today, and I did not get mine done by 5, so it took me until about 6:30, so that's why I'm tardy. So thank you for having me. But yes, so this is the month of April. So if you come by, we do have a little bit of display up of celebrating or honoring the 30th anniversary of the Oklahoma City bombing memorial. So we do have some of that up this month. We are also preparing for next month, which is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So we will have performers there pretty much every Saturday next month in May. We will have boba trucks and all kinds of things. So please, 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 it's all free So please, please, please tell anyone. We're working on, as I mentioned last month, getting information into the insert with your city utility bill. We do have a contact there at here at the City of Warr Acres that has put some information in for us in the past, and we've been very grateful for that. So that's going on. Summer reading will start. So that starts, of course, in June, but we're already doing all kinds of outreach, talking to schools. If you know anybody who's between the ages of 12 and 17, they can also sign up to be a volunteer at the library. That, of course, is with parental permission. They will be supervised by us. We kind of treat it as kind of a first job. They do a little interview. We kind of show them just, kind of the skills that they would do. They can do anything from cutting paper for a program to shelving or any of those kind of things. We have kids that all the time will say, oh, I love to work in a library. So it just gives them an opportunity to experience what it's like to be in the library. We have a big kickoff scheduled for Saturday, May 31st. So we'll have actually an ice cream truck out that day, and again, other activities. All of it is free. So please, 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 anyone that you know, share it with your family, friends, church, youth activities and groups, and we'll be happy to welcome everybody. But thank you for allowing me to come out and speak. But yes, I will try to be more prompt next month, so I know that I'll be talking.
You're fine.
But yes, thank you for allowing me to.
Do you have anything on Facebook that we could share about that?
Yes, if you go to just Metropolitan Library system on our Facebook page, we're also on Instagram. But if you'll just go there, yes, we will have, we do have all of those programs will be listed there. We also have a link, I believe, I'll have to double check, but I believe there is also a link for those who want to sign up to volunteer that will take them directly to our website and kind of gives more information about volunteering, again, the age group, and all of those things.
And you're going to have more summer programs since school is getting out?
Yes. So during summer reading, every Friday afternoon at 3:30, we do what we call a neighborhood arts program from 3:30 to 4:30. So it's different performers that are vetted and community partners of ours through like the Oklahoma Arts Museum and other community partners. So they'll bring out entertainers every Friday, beginning the first Friday in June all the way through the last Friday in July at 3:30. And then we'll have all kinds of other arts and crafts programs, story times, music time, you name it, we'll have it all free the entire summer. Yes.
Great.
Yes. Any questions?
Keisha, one of our members mentioned meeting rooms. Can you talk about meeting rooms?
Yes, yes. So we have never, as you know, our structure is the original structure. We do only have the one meeting room in our building. As I say that because the others have multiple. We have the one. Miss Vicki used it during when she was running for mayor for meet and greet. But it is $10 per hour. The maximum I think it holds is about 75 people if you have like the tables and chairs out. If you don't have tables and chairs out, it could probably hold closer to about 100. Again, it's $10 an hour. You really can't have parties and all those kinds of things as we don't allow alcohol, but you can have like we've had people do music recitals in there. We've had people do like little not necessarily graduation, but like promotions. Like someone did like a promotion of like pre-K to kindergarten there. So we're able to kind of set it up. We've got a podium in there. We've got, of course, a projector and all of the things. So if they don't have to really bring any of that, we'll provide all of that. And again, it's $10 an hour. So that's usually
really good.
a very good price for events. And it's available usually anytime that the library is open. We, of course, we use it for our internal programs as well. But if you go online or call us, we can check to see if when the availability is, and we can give you that information and get you registered right over the phone or online. Yes.
I've actually used the room.
Yes.
For town hall once.
You have.
And it was
Yes.
they didn't charge me.
Oh,
Okay. Because I guess they said
Yes.
politicians.
That is correct.
So.
Well, they charge.
Which,
I know they did charge you, didn't
Which
they?
honestly, I'm thinking.
He would pay. I think you need to get a bill.
I need to get him to pay. Yeah, I think I remember it was on
Which I'm thinking about doing
Saturday
again,
or Sunday afternoon, right? I think I remember that.
Which is actually something I'd like to do, about twice a year, hold a town
Yes.
hall for my ward.
Absolutely.
And so I plan to do it. I actually do it.
Yes.
Maybe Vicki could, and Judy could join me.
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
Maybe the vice mayor.
yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
If he can get off work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we also host a lot of like neighborhood association meetings, so Twin Lakes. There's another one that actually meets like just about every other Thursday. They're slipping my mind. Pine.
Cherokee Cross, oh, the Pines?
Yeah, the Pines. They meet.
Yeah, okay,
They meet
yeah.
often there. So yeah, they usually meet for a couple of hours, at least a couple of times a month. So yeah,
Great.
$10 an hour, can't really beat it. So yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you all for allowing me to speak.
Oh, thanks. Okay, anybody?
All right, make a motion
Thank
to
you.
adjourn?
Second.
Myers?
Yes.
Fairchild?
Yes.
Schmidt?
No.
Evans?
Yes.
Omosui?
Yes.
Morris?
Yay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All righty, we're gonna go into the Public Works Authority meeting, April 15th. Call to order. Declaration of a quorum. And the next item is the consent docket, approving the consent docket. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about before we approve the consent?
Yeah, I did. Can we just talk about what C and D are? Like,
Yeah,
what makes up those amounts? Like,
I didn't hear, but
can we talk about what makes up those amounts of C and D?
they look like the same exactly amount.
So you want to move to approve A and B?
Oh, yeah. Move to approve items A and B and remove items
Well, I just
C
didn't
and
know if it's the same thing, like,
So the point of a consent docket is, item 3 is where if you want to pull like C and D to talk about them, you pull them out, then the remainder gets approved, then under item 3, you take up C and D individually.
Okay, I move that we pull C and D off and discuss, even if it's a second. So I
Your motion
approve-
was to approve one, A and B.
A and B.
okay,
Which she seconds.
Yeah, I second it,
okay.
You're seconding.
what she said.
A and B.
Approve A and B and pull C and D.
Yes.
Right.
Myers?
Yes.
Morris?
Yay.
I don't know why I put her initials on both sides. So what am I doing? Omosui?
Yes.
Fairchild?
Yes.
Evans?
Evans?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion approved.
I could probably tell you very quickly, C is budgeting the money, D is spending the
Well, I
money.
understand that, but I wanted to know what it was actually.
That I can't
The
answer.
project is what he
Right.
was trying to find out.
Oh,
And that's what we were talking about but, okay.
is that? go ahead
Yes,
and tell
the
us all.
$231,129.45, and paying Craft Reynolds, that is the final payment that they're owed
On
for
the-
fixing the 21-inch interceptor pipe
Interceptor,
between
yeah.
Caps Middle School and 63rd Street.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted clarification on what it actually was for. That's all.
Yes,
That's
once
fine.
we pay them, that's
Okay.
done.
So now what do we, now we just say, now I want to approve the consent docket C and D? Okay, I make a
Approve items C
motion,
and D.
make a motion to approve items C and D.
I'll second that.
Schmidt?
Yay.
Myers?
Yes.
Fairchild?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Omosui?
Yes.
Morris?
Yay.
Mayor?
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Our next item is discussion and possible action on paying Craft Reynolds $9,440 for steel casings that were purchased for the project but not approved for reimbursement from OWRB.
Yes.
Explain it.
What?
Explain it.
Yeah. what- I
Yes,
thought-
so Craft Reynolds purchased and installed imported steel casing for an aerial crossing on the 21-inch interceptor. And with this project with OWRB, we kind of fell through the cracks because one of the project managers went on maternity leave at the beginning of the project before it even bid. And the people who were assigned to cover her just didn't quite catch everything. And so this project didn't really come back on their radar until she came back from maternity leave. And at that point, we were already well into construction. And there was a lot of back and forth and paperwork. And at one point, our OWRB said that they wouldn't even pay for any of the project because the imported steel had been installed without getting a waiver from the EPA or any communication.
We're supposed to use a Buy American.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And it's actually in the contract, and it just got missed. Somehow, I'm not quite sure where exactly everything fell through, but bottom line is we negotiated with OWRB, and they said, okay, fine, we'll pay for everything on this project except for the imported steel. And the labor associated with installing it. That way you don't have to rip it out, which would cost even more money.
But in essence, we're paying for a mistake they made.
Yeah.
Along those lines, yes.
I mean, they could have read the contract, they could have bought steel from America.
But there were, the issue at the time was that if they had done the Buy America, Build America provision and bought the steel casing, that would have been about 9 to 10 weeks of delay in the project.
At least.
And most of the time, OWRB will approve these waivers. And if they're aware that it is it was gonna be an 8 or 9 week delay. Because the project manager for OWRB was not available, they were not reviewing these claims as they went through. And so actually this was part of the reason why Kraft Reynolds went months and months and months without getting paid. We had several $100,000 of claims that OWRB had not processed, and they were very upset at Kraft Reynolds for not getting paid for that period of time. So it is common to have to deal with this, the Buy America, Build America, and getting a waiver. But because they did not reject it to us immediately, then they took the position of they wanted to argue that they didn't want to even pay for the entire project. They were going to disallow the entire project. And then we went through several iterations, had to go up to 3 levels in OWRB in order to be able to get this covered. So I wouldn't necessarily call it a mistake on the part of Kraft Reynolds or a mistake on the part of the city. It was typically you get a waiver. When you submit that, typically OWRB reviews it. Since they waited 6.5 months before they reviewed any pay claims, then we're having to deal with it after the fact. So.
And does this tie into the 231,000 that we did
Yes.
approve?
This
Right.
is, the
That we just approved.
231,000 is what OWRB will pay, and then this 9,440 is.
Yeah.
They will
The
not
remainder of
reimburse
it.
us.
They will not
or
pay.
whatever.
But they're already installed. Is there anything structurally wrong with them? Is
No.
the strength okay?
Yes.
But it's just that the city has to pay this? That's what I'm getting at.
What
Who's-
happens
who's
if we
paying
say
for
no?
this?
You have, okay, so when, in the OWRB loan agreement, those are federal funds that come from the state revolving fund. They are federal funds. So there are provisions that have to be made. And in those contracts, you have to have federal Davis-Bacon prevailing wage. You have to have the Buy America, Build America. There's some other provisions related to certified payrolls that they have to look at on beyond. You have to have materials approved. You have to go through, and actually that was part of the reason, you have to go through, contractor makes the claim, they submit it to the city, we submit it, we review it, we turn it into OWRB through Pam, then OWRB reviews it and approves it, then they'll authorize release of that money from the bank, the trustee bank, and then they turn around and then you have to authorize to pay it. So there's at least a 45-day process for that. So there are strings attached when you're using the SRF type program. So, you know, it was the sort of thing that we do SRF projects for other communities and we get waivers all the time. In this instance, 6.5 months after they accepted it but did not pay anything, then they decided to enforce the Buy America, Build America.
Am I correct that this is being applied to the OWRB loan? So we're paying this one way or the other. The only question is, do we pay it through the loan or do we pay it up front?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're paying it up front, so we're not
Well,
paying interest while it's sitting in the loan.
Right.
Yes.
We're paying it either way.
If we had made the recommendation to you, they've submitted it, they're not meeting Buy America, Build America, then we would have had to have suspended the project. You would have been potentially on the hook for a delay claim from the contractor for 8 or 9 weeks. It's just unfortunate that we went almost $1 million of money before OWRB even bothered to pay anyone. And that was a big situation, so.
You can't hardly get American steel. That's the whole problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the steel plants in America are shut down. It's
Yep.
all import steel, but the rules are still the same for the federal,
Well,
so.
Yeah.
and you can get these casing pipes, but they are few and far between, and they have to go through a process to have been partially handled or manufactured in order to be able to get them here.
So Evans was saying, we have to pay for this either way, right? There's no way it's already in the ground, we have to pay for it.
Well,
Well, we would, even if it was Buy American, we'd still be paying for it with the loan,
Yeah.
but we have to pay for it.
We gotta, yeah. Now, it's just a question if we want to pay the interest or not. Okay.
So does this come out of general funds that we pay this out of?
This public work, this is,
Well, where's that, where are we gonna get the 9440? Where does it come out of?
Out of your Public Works Authority.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I know, but so how much is in, that's probably another question. Do you know what the budget, how much money's in that account right now?
No.
Couple million.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve items C and D.
Or 4.
Item 4.
Oh, number 4, sorry.
Item 4.
I had it.
That
I
was the last
circling
item.
I was circling the top one up here, so yes.
Second?
Evans,
Yes.
Fairchild,
Yes.
Amosui,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Myers.
Yes.
Schmidt,
No.
Mayor.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay, next is discussion and possible action on an MOU with the Pines HOA regarding the cost of the Pine Dam repair. Pines Dam repair.
Okay, so this is a precursor to the next items. This is the proposed memorandum of understanding with the Pines HOA and the city of Warr Acres. It's very similar to an MOU that was done in 2009 and 10. In this situation, the city has a sewer line that is in a large portion of the Pines earthen dam. You have an easement that is a permanent easement for the sanitary sewer to exist there. You have an easement to have a sewer line through the spillway. The spillway then has a permanent easement for drainage, but it was established that the city only had the right to construct the original spillway. So this MOU will actually allow you to have temporary easement in order to be able to construct the spillway, and then it will also allow you to have a permanent easement that will provide for a permanent cost sharing of this spillway to where the spillway will be 75% the responsibility of maintaining by the HOA and 25% by the city. The other issue related to having to have the MOU is that in order to use the OWRB SRF money, we cannot commingle funds. So we're going to have a separate agreement that allows for us to construct the sanitary sewer line using the SRF money. And then we will have to build the spillway, which the spillway is what protects your sanitary sewer line. And then we'll have to repair the dam. There's a notice of violation and an order by OWRB that has been issued to the Pines HOA, and that was 4 years ago. And the dam has been in disrepair. If the repairs are not made and the dam fails, then the sewer line will fail, and then the city of Warr Acres would be responsible for any discharge from the sanitary sewer. This line is actually the line that intercepts and then goes to the large interceptor up to the wastewater plant. In about 3 months of negotiating with OWRB, they made a ruling that they will not pay for the spillway using the SRF funds. So we argued that the spillway is critical in order to be able to secure the line, and they said we will only pay for the portion of the spillway where the line actually crosses. So it's about 15 feet, 20 feet wide.
The SRF loan has some very strict rules about what it can and cannot pay for.
And so they did not deem that the spillway was eligible for construction. So the breakdown of the project is for the sanitary sewer line is to do the part through the spillway and then tie into the manhole, which is also where you have the emergency project that was on Lakeshore Drive. So we've added that, and Amanda will go through all the project itself. But this HOA will cover basically the cost split of the project. You have 1.3 million is budgeted or estimated for the actual sanitary sewer line. That is what OWRB will let you use the federal funds for. The spillway itself is $400,000 estimated, and the repairs to the dam itself are at $200,000. So in this MOU, essentially what we've done is created a scenario where the HOA and the city are going to agree that in item 6 that an escrow fund will be established at a bank, and that the HOA will be responsible for putting a deposit of the $200,000 into that account. Now, they'll need to make that deposit prior to us awarding this project. We're going to go ahead and go out to bid for it, and that's what the next items are. But then we have a clause that says if they fail to put the $200,000 in up front, then they will have within 30 days at the completion of the project, they will have to deposit whatever the shortfall is by that point, which is the safety clause that we have in there, in that we are not aware. We need to have you approve this MOU in terms so that the mayor and I can go and meet with the HOA, and we can then go move them to sign this. In spirit, they've agreed to this, but we're not sure that they have the funds. So if they don't have the funds and we bid the project, then that alternate will have to be awarded. So we'll have to, at that time, look at where does the $200,000 come from, where does the $400,000 come from, and we know where the 1.3 And those are all budget numbers, but when we come back after it's bid, we'll have actual numbers. In working with Pam on the finance side, there's $346,528.06 left of the second phase of the ARPA funds. So you almost have enough to cover the $400,000 out of the ARPA funds. If the Pines HOA does not put the $200,000 in up front, then I think, Pam, where did that would come out of the sewer?
The authority.
That would come out of the authority, out of the sewer funds, so, right, which you have been collecting.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
We did raise that rate last year and we have been collecting, so.
Yeah, so there is cash in the sewer fund that we could cover the $200,000 for the duration. At the point that the project is complete, and if they don't deposit the balance of the $200,000, then Matt, I don't know what that scenario looks like. I think you'll need to, we could put a lien against the collections on their HOA dues.
It gets ugly, but they'll have a written contract with us, so that's part of why we need this, is to give us the enforcement authority.
Right. Now you're in a bad position because the only regulatory agency is DEQ, and if anything fails on this line or the spillway and it discharges into the lakes, then it will be a fine against the city of Warr Acres. So this dam has been problematic. There is one edit to this MOU, and that's on the third page. At the end of section 7, the last, the last 6 lines essentially should be stricken from that. And the reason that is that it's kind of a holdover between Matt and I. It essentially was a holdover from a previous MOU where the HOA had their own engineer, and the city engineer and the city had to coordinate with the HOA's engineer. Well, at the point we started this, the city just took over everything. So at this point, the city engineer has complete authority over recommending and approving everything, and the city will essentially just keep authority over this dam until we get it completed. Then we will release it back to them, and then at that point, it's their responsibility, so.
So we're not consulting with the HOA's engineer, Harold Springer?
That is correct.
Yeah.
They don't even have an engineer.
Right.
Their
Just-
engineer.
That was left over.
Their engineer left, they didn't have one, they've let this go into disrepair, they let themselves get into a violation with OWRB. And it took the study that the city funded in order to be able to get to the point to design a spillway that will protect this line, so.
So
I
the
know
only
that's a lot.
enforcement we have is if we pass this document and they sign it. I mean, we don't have an option. What's their incentive to put money in this system?
Well, okay, so when they came to us, they came to the meetings about last year. The previous mayor and I met with them twice. They did a special assessment. They've raised dues. They are intending to pay. I think Vicky, Mayor Douglas, they said they have maybe 50,000.
58,000.
So
40 last time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they maybe have $58,000.
Are they gonna borrow the difference?
That's,
Well,
yeah.
okay, so we had that conversation, and, you know, they could go borrow it, and then Matt and I had to go through that scenario. And the problem is that over 60% of their members are delinquent or have not paid their dues. So they're not collecting dues until such time as typically, and they're doing a good job of putting a lien against the property. So when the property sells, then they collect a chunk of money, but on a monthly basis, we're not sure that they have the ability to pay debt service. So if they borrow the money, they've got to be able to, they could go to the bank. So that is all things that both the mayor and I need to go and work out with them. But you, the city, need to have some type of a agreement that has recourse to when the project's done, and like Matt said, it will, if they don't pay, then what do you do? And then that's why you would have to have this agreement in place.
Legal question.
Yes.
Can they declare bankruptcy and not pay us?
Can they try to? Sure. There are still assets that they have coming to them that we would become a creditor in the bankruptcy, and they've got revenue streams. Part of the problem that they've got is they have not pursued their delinquent accounts and put assessments on their property and put, as far as I know, they haven't put liens on the property.
I think they indicated that they have liens because they said that they do.
Okay.
They do collect whenever land transactions close. So I think they're doing that, but
A perhaps bad example, but best I can come up with would be, can a city declare bankruptcy? Sure. Still has revenue coming in because it's still providing utility service, and so there's still revenue coming in from which to pay the debts that they have. So there are collection methods, even if they do try and declare bankruptcy, there are ways to still try and collect against it. The hard part here, as Mark has emphasized, is we know our line has to get done. We know our line is in the middle of something that is gonna fail. I mean, it will fail, it's just a question of when. And so we can do the project, install our line and cross our fingers, or we can help try to get it there to protect our line. There is a public purpose behind this. We need to have this documentation to be able to justify it. I'm not as concerned about whether or not we'll get paid the full $200,000 back. But I can't tell you with 100% certainty that we will. I can tell you that without this, we can't do it. We have to have some sort of an agreement with them before we can touch the dam, outside of the easement. And part of this is to give us, and to address this for the future, part of this MOU is that they give us a broader easement so that we can take care of our side of things easier.
Essentially, last time, the design for the spillway was inadequate. And it was driven by cost, and it was driven because the HOA drove the project. In this agreement, if you look back at, I think it's on the next to the on item 10, permanent easement and maintenance responsibility, essentially what we're doing there is we are affixing to them that the HOA is going to be 75% responsible and 25% for the cost share. And the city will have a permanent easement in order to maintain this spillway so that it does not go into disrepair again. That's what happened. They let this thing they didn't do maintenance on it. Now, whether they did the maintenance or not is debatable as far as would the spillway have actually function. It was not, per the OWRB study, it wasn't functional. It wasn't going to meet the needs. But in this instance, now you have a permanent easement and you have the permanent rights to have Public Works maintain that so that you don't go into that. And then you can charge them 75% of that cost.
So the plan is to widen the easement, get rid of the rocks and the mesh, and fill it in with concrete.
That is correct.
So that will help.
So what do you think the lifespan of that is? Like, are we gonna be turning around here in 10 years and be doing this again?
Well, so the study showed, and OWRB has accepted the study showed that this is an adequate spillway design. In fact, it's an adequate enough spillway that the dam is now eligible to go off of the high hazard dam list. But the city will not expend any funds on that. That would be the HOA. a concrete line spillway, it would not be unreasonable for it to say that it'll last 50 years if it's maintained well, so.
What's involved in the maintain?
You know, cleaning, crack repairs, you know, maintenance and making sure that there's no erosion occurring behind the panels. Monitoring to make sure that where the dam face meets the spillway, that there's not erosion that's allowing it to undermine under the channel itself.
Or to build up there. So the 200,000 that they are supposed to put into this escrow account is the cost of the dam repairs?
That's the, yeah.
If that
The
bid were to
projected
come
cost.
in more, does that amount go up?
It would need to, yes.
I
Or
think-
vice versa if it came in less?
Well-
if it comes in less, they put in the 200, and until it's done,
Okay.
that's why it's gonna stay in
Yeah.
escrow.
Nothing
Yeah.
comes less.
Yeah,
Nothing
we're,
comes less.
yeah, it will not go below 200. We're
Okay.
going to ask them to put 200 in up front.
Which they don't have.
They have 58, and then we have to figure out how they can.
They got a quarter of it.
I think I brought this up the last time I was on the council, when we first started talking about this whole project.
Yeah.
There's no way to divert this line somewhere else that's not going through this dam.
I mean, technically, yes, we could relocate it, but that would cost millions and millions.
It costs more than the 2 million we're spending now on all this.
Easily,
Yes.
easily.
You have to think about the geography of the city, and I wish we could pull up the sewer atlas here so you could see how everything's funneled there. You would have to find a way to reroute everything to a different part of the city to then flow back
And then
up.
create new easements for it to fit in.
And
Or
probably
fit it
a
within the
lift
existing
station.
easements.
Yeah.
Well, I just know, but I'm just saying, because if it wasn't there, we wouldn't even be messing with this spillway and dam. It's only because of where it's at.
True.
And,
It was-
and whoever designed this to start with, this was, I don't understand why you'd ever
was-
design it
was-
that way.
It was a terrible idea
Right.
to put a sanitary sewer in an earthen dam.
Earthen Dam, yeah, that's kind of, yeah. And it's a main line too, right? I mean, that's like a,
That is,
that's like the,
that is the line, I mean, if you look where the Pines Dam, if you go north, you then spread into Oklahoma City into that at Northwest Expressway. At this point, this is the line that is carrying the combined flow of both Bethany and Warr Acres. And then it dumps into the common line on MacArthur.
3 to 4 million gallons a day.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
can put it by that bridge that they built. We could put it right under that bridge they built.
Okay. I didn't get it.
Yeah, but that's, yeah.
I was like, what bridge?
Anybody have anything else?
Do, but I don't know that it's necessarily related, but who has liability for the spillway? It just sounds like it's gonna be an attraction to kids and stuff.
It's their property.
It's their
Their
property.
property.
There.
An easement, and somebody mentioned it earlier.
It's just an
I think
easement
it
for
might have been,
us.
I think it might have been Mike.
Okay.
Easement is, you own the property, we have a right to use the property for a particular purpose.
Got it. Thank you.
In this case, the easements are typically, we have the right to use it for something you can't see. It's underground. And that includes the right to go and dig up if you've got an easement in the back of your house or your back property line, so that if we've got our line back there, we can go dig it up to do work. But it's still your property. And now if we dig it up and leave it open and somebody falls into it,
Another story.
that's on us. But if it's just, we don't maintain our property very well, or as the property owner, I don't maintain my property very well, the fact that the city has an easement, they have to show how the city was negligent.
Okay.
And
Thank
if
you.
Kids are playing in the upstream spillway and possibly downstream spillways, and they might be playing in this one also.
I mean, he answered the questions
But-
to where it makes sense to me.
It's not, it will not be our spillway. I mean,
Perfect.
It's their spillway.
However.
We're expanding where we can go in to take action
Yeah.
if needed to protect our line.
And charge a rate of 75 versus 25 for any of the repair, which you've not had the ability to do in the past, so.
Matt, by any chance, do you know how much is their homeowner association fee? Month or?
I have no idea. I know they said they increased it, but I have no idea what it is.
My understanding is they increased it substantially.
They may have to do that again for this.
I'll make anyone else?
ahead.
Go ahead. I'll make a motion to approve the MOU between the Pines and Warr Acres
Is it edited?
rehabilitation.
Is it edited? Did you say
The
you're gonna?
edited version.
Yeah,
Edited version.
I'm recommending deleting item 7,
Paragraph.
the
Last
last sentence that starts with, "in making such a determination," from that
You
point
already
on.
have that, Matt, right?
And I apologize, Matt and we did that edit.
Oh,
I thought
It's
he'd
like
already done that.
15 minutes before the meeting. I
do
mean,
it again?
there's plenty of time.
You,
Good, you need me to do
you
it
look
again?
a second? You need a
Who's
second?
second?
I'll do the
I
second.
didn't,
Thank you.
Figured you.
I knew they worked on that before the meeting,
Yeah.
so. Myers?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Morris?
Yay.
Fairchild?
Yes.
Amosawi?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes,
Approved.
Right. 'cause if
and
we
I
didn't
don't
do
know
it,
how you
couldn't
guys
do
are
the
still awake.
Chewing gum. Peppermint.
Diet Coke.
Oh. Okay, let's see, we're going to a discussion and possible action on authorization to bid for the Warr Acres 2025 Pines East Lake
Thanks,
sanitary sewer improvements. I'm gonna let Amanda explain it.
I think we're all aware.
Thank you.
Because it's a big long one. I don't want to read all that.
All right, so there are actually technically 2 authorizations to bid, item 6 and item 7. They go together. Item 6 is for the sanitary sewer improvements, just the sanitary sewer line itself. And then item 7 is for the dam and spillway improvements. So we split them into 2 different plan sets. It'll be 2 different contracts with the contractor because of OWRB funding requirements. So this first one is for the sanitary sewer improvements. This includes approving the plans and specifications and the construction permit documents to replace the approximately 768 linear feet of partial 24-inch, 21-inch, and 27-inch that start at, I believe it's Wood Creek Road Street cul-de-sac and goes through the dam. And this is all new 27-inch PVC pipe and rehabilitating the manholes along the line. And it includes fixing the sinkhole, and it will be paid for with the SRF money. I have been in frequent communication with DEQ about the permitting and with OWRB, which is administrating the funds and making sure that the specifications, the plans, all meet their requirements and have all of the necessary information. Nobody's going on maternity leave this time. So I have been doing extra work to make sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted on this one. And if you approve this, then we will move forward with soliciting bids starting this. We'll advertise this Friday and then next week, because you're supposed to advertise 2 consecutive weeks. Anticipate having the pre-bid meeting on April 30th, Wednesday, April 30th, and then the bid opening on May 9th. And then, assuming that it goes well, all fingers and everything crossed, we'll award the bid at the May council meeting, and we can begin construction after that.
What do you think the timeline is on the construction? I know that's kind of not,
Well, in the contract, we are saying 150 days,
thank you.
which is a fairly standard construction timeline.
And there's no problem getting that size of a line, that much size of a line. I know we had discussions in the past about getting a certain size pipe we might not be able to get.
Right, so just standard 27-inch PVC. We plan to do open trench. That makes it much easier to get because one of the other construction methods called pipe bursting, it's called a 27-inch pipe, but it's specially manufactured for pipe bursting, and so that one is difficult.
Yeah, I remember those meetings we had about that, yeah.
Yes.
Are the plans complete?
Yes, they are.
Can we get a copy?
Yes. I thought I shared them. But yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I will provide them, I guess the best way is to you, Pam.
Supposed to copy them.
I couldn't, did I get them? They were very small. I couldn't read.
Did Roger dispose of it?
It was in his
No.
inbox. and then, yeah.
I think something got lost in communication.
Yeah, we can print out. We can print 11 by
Print
17.
or digital?
PDF.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, we would love to give you a piece.
Yeah, we want to save paper and trees in the world,
That's
so.
fine, PDF would be fine. It's something I can see and look at.
I want to see it, but if it's a PDF and I can print it out, then that's fine. I have to see things.
Yeah, absolutely. I will do that tomorrow morning. But yes, the plans are 100% complete, as are the specifications.
Are we looking for a motion? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve item 6 for the bid.
I'll second it.
Evans,
Yes?
Omosuwe, Fairchild,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
excuse me, Schmidt,
Yay.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion approved.
Thank you.
7 is the other part, right?
7 is the other part.
I'll make a motion, we approve item
Authorization to
7.
bid, yeah.
I'll second it. Sorry, did somebody else?
Evans,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yay.
Omosuwe, Fairchild,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Mayor,
Yes,
motion approved.
okay. And your SRB reports on the wastewater master plan.
Yes, all of the stuff. So we already talked some about the 21-inch interceptor with the funding part and making sure Kraft Reynolds gets paid for the work that they did. And it's all done. The last step is to provide as-built to the city. And that's it. So we are happy to get this one checked off and move on to the next project.
Did this one come under budget?
Yes and no.
Just say
So-
yes then. It's fine.
Yes,
We'd
it-
like to rather hear yes
It
then.
came in at less than the bid price.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because the bid was more than what we budgeted first, right?
Initially,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
that's the no
Right,
part.
right. Okay.
Can we get those as-built on PDF too?
That's how they are provided, yes. Okay, so CCTV on the 2024 SSES. Still out there getting footage from the lines. On our end, we're reviewing all of the notes and the footage, and we're scoring and ranking the pipes, scale of 1, no damage, to 5, worst case damage, integrating it with the GIS system and updating that so that it's actually correct and not based on old atlases and conflicting atlases. We met with Mike Turman and Ronnie and the mayor and Pam last week to go over some of the preliminary results and just show that to them. We had summarized the damage into 3 main categories. I realize that there are 4 on there, but the interceptor turned into the first priority of what we're gonna look at, which for the most part, the interceptor is in pretty good shape, except for in a couple of spots, like underneath the dam. Not so good there. Broken pipes are the second priority. which there are some, and we will prioritize those and provide updates once they're not quite so preliminary results. There are some fractures, which pipes are still holding, but there are some fractures that we might want to keep an eye on for the future and put onto a list, like make sure we watch these. And then root balls. Most cases, there's just roots coming in at like one joint along a segment, and that can be fixed with some heavy cleaning. Questions on that?
What is the gray, it says others, what does other mean?
We have not reviewed footage from that yet.
Thank you.
Or it hasn't been videoed.
But I do want to say, like, to you guys, to your credit, we haven't had this in the past. Like, we didn't know where half the stuff was. So I think we're ahead of the game. I really appreciate all the work you guys have done.
Thank you. Yes, we're learning a lot.
Yeah, I am too. Yeah. Some of the root balls are huge, and getting them out of there because of the clay pipes is dangerous with the boring. We don't want to damage them.
Yes. So with the wastewater master plan, like I've been mentioning, we've just been so focused on getting plans out and addressing what's actually in front of us instead of this somewhat conceptual plan based on a hydraulic model and looking at the SSES results, which provide, in my opinion, a more pressing need instead of just conceptual results from a hydraulic model. So we're working on incorporating those SSES results into the master plan. And then we already have a couple of, or the next project, 50th and Meridian, there is a line that desperately needs to be replaced, created back there. There is a 4-inch line that pretty much started off as a service line for one of the first businesses that came up, and then more businesses came up, and that 4-inch service line just kind of got extended. And what really needs to be back there is an 8-inch service line that is put at the correct depth, and will definitely help Mike and his guys out because they've been out there multiple times having to jet the line and replace sections of it. It has just been a huge headache for them.
So how many, I think you said this before, how many feet down was it?
It's only,
And what is it supposed to be?
yeah.
It's supposed to have 30 inches of cover at least. And in one place, we went out for a site visit and were able to uncover it by just kicking the dirt.
4 inches, yeah, it was something like that.
Maybe
Yeah.
not even 4
Yeah,
inches.
yeah, you said it, yeah.
Do we have an estimated timeline of when we would get to that line for replacement?
By the end of the year. Yep, we met with Mike, that was part of the meeting for the CCTV results. We met last week and got their opinion, because there were a couple of options for what to do, and got their opinion and preference for how to fix this. And so we are working on 60% plans now.
Are we waiting for the completion of the work on the Pines Dam?
Nope.
Or is this independent?
This is independent.
Okay.
And so then, as part of this, the library service line has also been causing headaches for the Public Works Department. And so we are going to put plans together to put in an 8-inch line there. A few months ago, in the fall, I don't know, time kind of blends together a little bit sometimes. Mike had to go in and put in a grinder pump for various things that were getting flushed down the library toilets, and Ideally, you don't want to have pumps in the system if possible. It's better if everything can gravity flow. So our plan is to put a larger line, there it is, at the library and connect it over to the 12-inch line running along the south of 63rd Street. One thing that we thought about was, since we're gonna be out there, do we also need to replace the line along 63rd Street? And it is in decent condition. It could probably stand to be replaced at some point. We did find out a problem with survey that the manhole in the travel lane going north on MacArthur at 63rd is what we call inverted. So the bottom of the manhole is the high point for the lines that come into it. And so instead of lines are supposed to come in above and then flow out through one thing. But this manhole is above all the lines. So it has not apparently been too much of a problem based on backup reports. We do have an obligation to fix it now that we know about it. But especially based on the SSES results, it's not your most pressing problem. So we're gonna add it to the master plan as a list of things to fix. And we are not going to recommend fixing the line along 63rd at this point. We're gonna recommend fixing other lines first.
Didn't we just line the pipe on 63rd?
No. You lined the line going up to 63rd. This line actually joins into it.
On the south side of 63rd.
Yes. So the next project that we'll bring to you will be replacing line at 50th and Meridian and tacking on upsizing the library service line in that same contract.
Ooh, lots of hard work, Amanda.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your update.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? Okay. I will make sure you guys get a PDF of the plans.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Sounds good.
Second?
Myers,
Yes.
Fairchild,
Yes?
Morris,
Yay.
Evans,
Yes.
Amosaway,
Yes.
Schmidt,
No.
Mayor,
Yes.
motion approved.
All righty. We're gonna go into the Economic Development Authority meeting, April 15th. We have call to order, we have a quorum. We have the consent docket. Does anyone want to, talk about item A, which is the only item on there?
I move we approve item 2A.
Yay.
I'll second it if that's what you're waiting for, yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Evans,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yay.
Amosaway,
Yes.
Fairchild,
Yes?
Mayor,
Yes,
motion approved.
we were waiting for everyone to wake up. Okay. Okay, discussion and possible action on update and printing the Warr Acres brochure to hand out to businesses when they want information about our city.
There's a
Take it
lot
away,
to
Mike.
update.
Okay, so, started with Mayor Woolley, right? Pat Woolley had one of these, and then Mayor Mickley updated it. Roger was gonna do an electronic version of this, and it did not happen. But, you know, I talked the last month about when we give stuff to businesses, we wanna give them something like, you know, besides all the permits and everything, but this says a lot about our city. You could also give it out at other functions or events too. I just didn't know if it's something you want to pursue or not pursue, or do something different than this. Like I said, I think Roger, once he got aware of how much work was involved in it, it's a lot of work to update all this stuff and to make it current. Because you can see if you look inside, it's got the Golden Corral in here, it's got some older things in here.
They're all
But it
at
talks
City Hall.
about like a vision, and so I think, if you're a business and you want to come to the city, you want to know what is the vision of the city? Like, I just want to leave it how it is, or, what type of growth you have. They have like different phases of things they were wanting to do. So I don't know if that's something you guys wanted to pursue or not.
Be nice to give them something updated, but not so elaborate.
Yeah, not
Um,
so
Can we
expensive.
find endorsements, like people that help pay for it, like
First
The
for
bank
Well, I will tell you, the bank did donate money to help pay for those.
Yeah, sponsors, yeah.
yeah,
So we just have to
sponsors?
figure out who we used. I don't
Yeah.
know who we used to
I
print it and
know.
everything.
Maybe even sell some ads from current businesses.
That's a good
Put it
idea.
in there.
And I will say, the bank has offered many times to help with different things. So
Okay.
if somebody would approach them, I'm sure that, and I'll give you the contact person's name.
We just need someone that is detailed enough to get all the updates.
What's the public works yard?
That-
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Doesn't have a bunch on their plate already.
This part here.
So leave it to Mike.
I don't know what all that stuff is.
I don't either, that's what I was trying to figure out what that is.
We could ask him. We could ask Mike.
Oh, you know what, that's going into it. That's Dorothy
I don't
Park.
know.
Yeah, that's before the Animal Control Center, isn't it?
No.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is.
Do we know about,
Where at?
All these little
Oh, yeah.
temporary Quonset huts sitting
I
back
wondered
there.
That
what
was
that
when we
was.
had the training over there, the military came out.
The
and
Vigilant
trained.
Guard exercise in
National
2017.
Yeah, yeah. You did that combined training.
Yeah.
Louisiana, Texas, and Delaware.
Give this to you next.
Yeah.
what about,
That's why it says partnerships, is because we partnered with the military. that-
Huh?
That's a
Okay.
tree on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're
Come out
not,
and do the tree.
Have to find somebody new to partner with,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
change the page.
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going,
It's a Chinese buffet.
Yeah.
are they
Okay.
still working on it?
Uh-huh, and, I talked to the person that's putting in the Chinese buffet and talked to him about our empty lots that are in town, especially centered in the town center, that are owned by the Doers, and gave him some information on how much those cost. And he was talking about, wanting to put in a kitchen supply combination hardware store. He's looking into that, and I'm meeting with Daryl Durham next week to talk about what he wants to do. He has the strip mall next to the CSL, and he wants to do something with that, but he wants to keep it and maybe rent it out for businesses. But the other businesses, the corner of 51st and MacArthur, there are two houses that he wants to sell together. So that could be like a large store. And then across the street and next door to the Del Rancho is a smaller,
It was a car wash.
it used to be a car wash, and it was, yeah.
They leveled the ground there again.
a car wash
Yeah.
It was do it yourself.
Yeah.
At
So
one,
anyways,
at one point, there were like 24 car washes in Warr Acres.
was that?
like 5 years
Oh.
ago, maybe?
Do both of those have the 100-foot frontage since they are in town center overlay?
The one on the east side is bigger than that. I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't
it
have
looks
the paper.
pretty long.
Yeah.
But the
yeah.
two houses together, that's
Yeah.
what I'm wondering. I'm assuming that the two of them together would get
Right.
that 100-foot frontage.
Yeah, and the only problem with that, which I don't like, is because it's in the town center, there is a very nice building in the backyard of the second house to the north. It's a 40 by 70 steel building, and because it's in the town center, everything has to be torn down. And I just didn't, I know they talked about that in the past, that,
I don't know that it has to be torn down. I thought it just had to be, it could probably be updated to the materials list that's in the town center.
Well, is it a house?
it is a steel building.
It's a building.
40 by 70 steel building in the backyard of the house on the north side, on the east side.
Because you're starting with a PUD, you have to have or a spud.
But
So-
they talked about this before, and said that the city council denied, something.
I don't remember ever
Yeah.
seeing that.
Yeah,
I'm not saying we didn't, but I
No.
certainly don't remember that,
Right.
because that would have stuck out in my mind, I
But,
think. if-
yeah, but I'm
there
gonna
had
go
been a
talk to him
building in
next
there.
week
Yeah,
about it.
okay.
And then another entrepreneur came up and gave me his card, talking when Judy and I and Debbie went to the Northwest Chamber, and I was going to call him. I think his name is Baptiste. He's interested in putting in something. So, and the lady that does Sample Oklahoma, I thought it would be great to have a Made in Oklahoma building in Warr Acres with foods and crafts and things like that. So those are some more contacts that we could do.
Yeah.
So-
Would be nice.
So, Mike, you, what's your ideas as far as something like this goes?
I'd rather have the pamphlet, just to, we're handing them out. The electronic thing, I don't know.
Yeah,
Once
well,
you
yeah.
have it in this
Right.
form, you can scan it in so that you can send it to somebody in a PDF.
I mean, I can work
Either
with
way.
Pam and see she said she has a contact. We could see how much we paid for it in the past. I can talk to the bank, see if they're interested in
Yeah.
updating it and doing it. And telling them that we've got a bunch of people that are looking to do stuff in Warr Acres, but like I said, I'd like to give them something, and I don't want to give them something that's
Yeah.
already outdated.
And-
I mean, especially if we get some sponsors, you know? If you get some sponsors to pay for the printing, golly, that's a no-brainer.
And if you would like to learn how to update the website,
Oh, yeah.
that would be great.
I might be able to help you with that.
Okay,
I've done websites before.
yeah. We use Proud City is what it's called.
Oh.
I updated a little bit, but not a lot, so.
Well, if you want, I can look into this then. So I don't know, since it's possible action, I can just say
Yeah,
a motion that I'll look at updating and printing, well, not the printing, but I'll look at updating the brochures and update everyone at the next council meeting. So,
okay,
Like the data and the pictures that are in it, is that what you're
Everything,
talking
yes.
about?
right.
You don't need a motion. You
We
just,
I don't have to motion it? All right, that's even better.
you just advised.
Okay,
Trustee Schmidt,
that's okay.
Vice Chairman Schmidt.
Trustin Schmidt.
Okay.
And I kind of talked about discussion of what businesses you'd like to see in Warr Acres, but there are others that we have missed out on that have gone close to us, but
Don't say,
close,
Yeah.
but
you'll say crumble, I already know.
close but no potato.
Say Trader
Oh,
Joe's.
yeah, Trader Joe's,
I don't think
Now
we
they're
have.
getting the,
Crumble,
yeah, well, not Crumble, but now they're getting the Trader Joe's too.
yeah,
1 mile
yeah.
down the road. These are all things that's like we've brought up over the years. These are things we want to see in Warr Acres, and they just keep going 1 mile down the road. It's frustrating.
Do we know why? Or
Marketing.
marketing?
Yeah, and I don't know
Permits?
because
What is that?
I've had people, now I know it's a touchy subject as far as the inspector goes. But one of the draws when I had talked to people when I was vice mayor the last time was that businesses would want to come because they didn't have to wait months with Oklahoma City on a permit.
Okay.
They just knew if they came to Warr Acres, it'd be a shorter time. But that wasn't pushed to sell people to say, then you should come to Warr Acres, because we can get your inspection, you can get on with building whatever you're gonna build. And I had 2 businesses that I referred on, sold on Warr Acres just on that fact. And so I think we just need a person that's gonna do it. The problem in the past was we've always paid these firms to say, oh, we're gonna get businesses for you. We pay them all this money, they don't do anything for us. Because they're getting paid by somebody else,
Yeah.
by businesses to find locations. So they're not really helping us, they're just out to help themselves, and we've always done it. I don't know how many times we've paid. I know, since I've been on the council, I think there was
Till-
3 different
At least 3.
Yeah,
groups that
retail
we've paid for.
strategies, yeah.
So I think if it's just something that we as a council have to all do and try to push and push it to the mayor, because the mayor's the one eventually that has to be the one that would talk to them. But-
Come up with ideas.
That's why I put this on here. Like, what do you guys see that maybe you want the mayor to start to pursue, or something you want to see in the city?
Is this discussion open for staff?
I think it's open for everybody.
Okay, wonderful. I have a couple ideas. I think in front of Walmart on MacArthur is an ideal restaurant location. Cheddar's Scratch Kitchen is in Edmond, Yukon, Norman, and Midwest City, and all 4 locations are busy. I think it would be 7 days a week, 11 to 10 is their hours, and they all stay busy. So it's one of those places that's appetizers, burgers, desserts, kid menu. I don't know if you've ever eaten there, but they stay busy. The next one is, and probably a more novel idea, I think if a coffee shop went into the area in front of Hertz Data Center, it would be incredibly busy. I realize we have a Starbucks and we have a Scooters, but if you've ever been in the Houston airport, you can stand at a Starbucks and look down and see another Starbucks. So there's a market for coffee. And I believe that if you really wanted to have a place where parents could pick up their kids after school, it would be a sit-down type restaurant, and then parents could pick up coffee there in the mornings. But if you want more tax revenue, something like Dutch Brothers, they've gotten really busy. Their locations seem busier than Scooters. There's a 200 by 250 foot, so about 50,000 square feet, in a grassy area in front of Hertz. I don't know what it would take to do a lot split, but
We just
if the
gave
city
all that
could,
away.
yeah, if the new Dove Academy, though, would allow the city to either utilize that land, purchase that land, or entertain the idea of a lot split. The closest brewery is on 36th Street down by Meridian. So there are none on Expressway and MacArthur. There are a couple sports bars in close proximity, but not an actual brewery. And there's been a growing interest over the last couple of years in the metro for breweries. Another idea would be a liquor warehouse location, and they do an incredible amount of business. I had an alternative idea for the coffee shop in front of the new Dove Academy would be a Swig. That's a new drink place that stays really busy up in Edmond. Yeah, it's like
There's one in Edmond and there's one in Yukon, and my kid goes back and forth between.
Well, there we go.
I stay away from
It'd be
Edmond.
a lot closer here.
And I know from personal experience picking up my grandson at Dove Academy, a lot of parents, grandparents mostly, take the kids to McDonald's to play and get food. So if we had something like that
right.
close to Dove Academy when they pick them up,
Yep.
that would be great.
There are 2 beauty supply stores west of Rockwell. I think it's Ulta and Sephora, but there's nothing for quite a ways until you get to like the Belle Isle area. So if there was a third alternative that could go in on the south side of Northwest Expressway, it might be a good option in an open lot.
There is other ones. There is one next to Aldi, there is Sally, there is Ulta.
Yeah, it's by the Target.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but there is.
I don't know if y'all remembered years ago when Ulta and Marshalls and some of those other ones were all looking at going where Batterot ended up going.
Yeah. Lastly, I don't know if the city's interested in pursuing the area on 72nd Street, but a distribution center for air comfort solutions might not generate tax revenue, but it would certainly bring in some traffic right in that area. And I realize high traffic is not what we want, but we do want some people visiting our city. Kroger has no presence in Oklahoma yet as a brick and mortar store, but they certainly seem to be pursuing it with their grocery delivery. So if it was possible to appeal to them on the area of 72nd Street, that's a massive area. Lastly, Apple has 2 locations in Oklahoma, one in Penn Square Mall and one in Tulsa, but a standalone building would generate a lot of traffic and revenue.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Apple, yeah.
You've obviously put some thought into that. Very good.
It was awesome. Yeah, I was thinking about, I went to Chicago this last fall, and talking about how coffee places are all over the place. Every like 10 or 12 exits, there was a Dunkin' Donuts, like, and people were just there. And I'm like, how can there be that many people for that?
Yeah, I like that.
But I agree, something over there, because that's kind of like what the last mayor said. You know, Roger said, if Dove's going to be there and there's kids going around, you need to have businesses for them to go to. Them just to come pick up kids and go home and there's nothing there.
Yeah.
So that area, Northwest Highway, that's where we should be.
And you've got that empty lot in front of Charlie's You know, they developed, but they left that commercial lot right against MacArthur because they wanted to develop that as a separate retail.
Well, the one behind Fairfield is I think it's R1.
it's
Tony
C3.
Meeks bought it.
It's C1.
C1? Oh, okay.
It's the 9 acres, is that
It's
what?
4.6 acres, right behind Fairfield.
Okay, gotcha.
But he wants, he did not want, I talked to him about putting in residential and houses, and so he was not into that, but, still need to talk to him.
Anybody else have anything?
Just those Airbnbs.
Well,
You know, if you're gonna have stuff in Warr Acres, you're gonna have to have some place to stay.
I actually had a dream about that area behind Fairfield being an Airbnb log cabins with,
Oh, wow, yeah.
with a pickleball court, and I dreamt that. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, I think the Airbnb thing, it's because, there's that one party house it's in
Yeah.
your ward.
Well, you know, if
And
we
so that's
actually-
kind of ruining it for everybody. I don't know, that's how past mayors really didn't want the Airbnbs because of that very reason for that
Well,
house.
you know, like
That's what it was.
Oklahoma City did, they got a limit, 16 max capacity, only one car out on can park out on the street per four occupants, stuff like that. We can do something to regulate that, and then really just bring it, because they're operating right now.
Right.
It's a wild, wild west for them. There's
Right.
nothing for them. They can do
One
anything they
can
want,
enforce
and they're
it.
not paying a hotel tax, which we can make them subject to
Right.
that too. So,
Start a committee.
Yeah, so if you go to, I think the best thing is if you go somewhere and you like what it is and you don't think you like to have one in Warr Acres, see if they have a card or a business card, something, give it to the mayor, and the mayor can contact them, get whoever needs to be there, like, have you be there, you meet with the mayor, and we go over it, and see what it would take to get them here. I mean, there's other stuff that has to go on as far as like the buildings, and that's what she's working on with Dewar, getting the properties, but,
The problem.
we need to have, I don't want to get properties and develop them and then we got nothing to put in them because we haven't pursued that part of it. so.
The problem, there is properties that are not occupied, not rented, being held
Right.
with no maintenance, and no one can use them. They are asking way too much.
We fought
Right.
that battle so long, where Walmart is now, that whole center with the theater back there, we
Yeah.
fought that for decades to try to get control of that from that California owner. Finally, he gave it up, but man, it was.
Mike made a
terrible.
list.
bad.
Mike
It
made a
was-
list of all the empty properties.
Yeah, I got it from Crystal. She
Yeah.
had all there's a list of all the
Let me talk to you
businesses.
then.
Yeah.
If you have that list, let me talk to you after.
I mean, it needs to be updated. So she just had a list of all the properties that they used to be businesses and it's shut off. And so they might be a business, they might not. So Crystal
Because I
had
have
it.
someone
So
who
it's somewhere
basically
to
was
start.
offered a rent, he said, no, I want to buy my property. So
Right.
he has a good business, so.
Motion to adjourn.
second,
Evans,
Yes.
Fairchild,
yes.
Amosawi, Myers,
Yes.
Morris,
Yay.
Schmidt,
I have to be consistent. I'm going to say no.
Mayor.
Yes.
Can't
That's
change now.
approved.